JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, one gunman dead, three on the run after supermarket robbery. Police have launched a manhunt in search of gunmen who robbed the supermarket at Nashville in Mandeville on Tuesday evening. A police report said that shortly after 6 p.m., four gunmen held up the establishment where they stole cash from the supermarket and cell phones from customers. The gunmen also stole a licensed firearm and ammunition during the robbery. Police have revealed that the gunmen are from Clarendon. Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Shane McCullough, confirmed that one of the gunmen was shot by a licensed firearm holder as they made their escape from the supermarket. The injured gunman was found near the scene, suffering from gunshot wounds, and taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. His accomplices escaped in a motor car. American fugitive nabbed in Manchester. An American fugitive who is wanted in New York in the U.S. on multiple criminal charges, was arrested during a pre-dawn operation in Greenville, Manchester on Wednesday. He is 18-year-old Matthew Pinnock, who is wanted on a provisional warrant of arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, robbery, assault, criminal possession of a weapon, reckless endangerment, among other charges. The Jamaica Constabulary Forces Corporate Communications Unit says he was nabbed by members of the Jamaica Fugitive Apprehension Team and Counterterrorism and Organized Crime CTOC Special Ops. The team reportedly went to a house in the Manchester community and carried out a search, and Pinnock was allegedly found hiding. He was subsequently transported to Kingston, where he remains in custody. He is set to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Friday. Motorcyclist killed in Marcus Garvey Drive crash. A motorcyclist died as a result of injuries he sustained in a vehicular collision on Marcus Garvey Drive, Kingston 14 on Wednesday, November 23. The deceased has been identified as 43-year-old Herbert Reed of Nelson Street, Denham Town in Kingston. Reports are that at about 10:45 a.m., the driver of a Toyota Wish motor car stopped along the roadway to make checks on his car bumper. While looking at the vehicle, Reed's motorcycle collided with the rear of the Toyota Wish. Reed sustained multiple injuries and was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The Denham Town Police are investigating. According to the Road Safety Unit, RSU and the Transport Ministry, 423 people have lost their lives this year, 5 more than the corresponding period last year. Last year, 484 people lost their lives as a result of crashes on Jamaica's roadways. Last year's death toll was the highest number of people who have died in the country under these circumstances in the last 10 years. 81-year-old landlord charged for assaulting tenant and child. An 81-year-old landlord was charged with 2 counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm after he allegedly used a machete to cut his tenant on the head and then attacked the man's 12-year-old child. The accused, Thomas Buckner, pleaded not guilty to the charges when he appeared in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday. The allegations are that on September 14, Buckner barred the complainant from entering the premises because he claimed the man owed rent. Buckner, the court was told, retrieved the machete and used it to hit the complainant on the right side of his head. In relation to the other count of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, it was revealed that on November 8, the child arrived home from school when he was attacked by Buckner, which resulted in him sustaining an injury on his right leg. The extent of his injury was not disclosed in court. Responding to his not guilty plea, Senior Parish Judge Lauren Cole Montague asked Buckner if he did anything to them, to which he answered, "I set them a try set me up." The adult complainant explained to the judge that they have since moved from the premises. However, given that the father and son still live in the community, he explained that Buckner is still harassing his child. "Your Honor, don't listen to this man," the father began. Then added that from the very first day he moved in, he was harassed by Buckner. "Your Honor, him still see my child and show him middle finger. Up to yesterday, he was show my child middle finger. He might be old, but he's a very dangerous man," he told the judge. "I never thought I'd have to say it to an 81-year-old man. But don't show the child no middle finger," Cole Montague said. The man noted that when he went to the hospital after he was allegedly wounded by Buckner, when he told the doctor what caused his injuries, he claimed that the doctor was not shocked that Buckner was the culprit. "He's a nuisance to the community," the man said. The matter was referred to restorative justice, where they'll be able to hear their grievances in front of a trained impartial mediator. Additionally, The matter was set to be mentioned again on January 18, 2023. Policeman back on the job after 19 years. Police Constable Lessine Edwards, who has been on the job for 19 years, returned to work last month following his murder acquittal in April by the United Kingdom Privy Council, which is Jamaica's final court. "I'm feeling very good to be back on the job, but it cannot suffice the long suffering I went through all those years," Edwards said this week. However, Edwards has pledged to do his very best to serve his country. Edwards, 53, who has been represented by King's Counsel Valrenita Robertson, is looking forward to compensation from the government for the ordeal he went through. In freeing Edwards, the Privy Council recommended that the Jamaican authorities compensate him for constitutional breaches and for the miscarriage of justice that was done. The government was criticized by the Privy Council for its lack of resources to provide expert evidence for accused persons and breaches of the Constitution in relation to trial within a reasonable time. Edwards' trial took place 10 years after he was charged. The Privy Council found that there was no challenge to Anita Robertson's statement that independent forensic experts, whether on ballistics, gunshot residue, blood splatter, or handwriting, are not available in Jamaica. Edwards was convicted in 2013 for the murder of 23-year-old Aldona Harris, who was the mother of his twin girls. Her body was found with a suicide note beside it at her home in Pembroke Hall, St. Andrew, in September 2003. She was fatally shot 4 weeks after she got married to a man who lived abroad. Harris and Edwards were involved in a relationship for 4 years, and they continued the relationship after the marriage. Edwards said in his defense that he was sleeping when he heard an explosion and saw Harris with a gun in her lap. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment and ordered to serve 35 years before he could be eligible for parole. The Court of Appeal reduced the sentence to 20 years before parole. Fresh evidence before the Privy Council from scientific experts showed that Harris was seated on the bathroom floor with her back against a closed door, and there was no satisfactory explanation regarding how Edwards would have been able to murder the deceased in that confined space. The Privy Council ruled that based on the fresh evidence, the conviction was plainly unsafe. Pushback at 30-year murder minimum. A King's Counsel and Human Rights lobby are cautioning the government against tabling legislation that would impose a minimum sentence of murder of 30 years, arguing that such decisions should be left to the discretion of the courts. Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, Michael Jackson, said that while the organization is not opposed to the government reviewing sentencing guidelines, it is wary of what it views as a trend towards increasing minimum sentences. Is it a case where the Prime Minister has lost confidence in the court's ability to put forward what they believe fits the circumstances of the case? "I think we're setting a dangerous precedent if it is that. That's a signal we're sending, unintentionally or not," she said on Wednesday. Her response was in reaction to the proposed sentence disclosed by Andrew Holness in Parliament a day earlier, as well as the recently passed New Firearms Prohibition and Restriction Act, which carries a minimum term of 15 years in prison for illegal possession of a firearm. Currently, the sentencing guidelines prescribe 15 years as a starting point. Jackson says that legislative change would not only undermine the court's credibility, but also lead to other issues such as prison overcrowding. She also said that harsher sentencing would not be deterrent to criminals. What will deter criminals is the actual likelihood of being caught. So what we're saying to the government, focus on strengthening the investigative capacity of the JCF. Give the JCF the tools necessary to actually be able to put forth the best evidence to secure conviction if someone runs afoul of the law, the JFJ Executive Director said. However, Justice Minister Delroy Truck disagrees that tougher sentencing will not be a deterrent. It sends the emphatic denunciation of the seriousness of the crime to the extent that it sends the right signal that offences such as murder and other serious offences that they deserve the harshest and most severe penalties, he said. And in acknowledging the country's low conviction rate, the Justice Minister called for more cooperation from citizens and better investment in technology. But Attorney at Law Valrenita Robertson believes that any legislation geared at a 30-year minimum sentence of murder would subvert the justice system. When you seek to stipulate the type of sentence that a judge must give, you undermine the confidence of Jamaicans in the justice system, and you undermine the integrity of the judiciary, the King's Counsel said in an interview. "I believe that judges are trained to take into account all the circumstances of an offense and other circumstances of the individual who have committed offences and to arrive at an appropriate punishment. I don't believe the Prime Minister has that experience or training. Nita Robertson said greater focus should be placed on social programs that she believes would decrease the country's crime rate. When you seek to stipulate the type of sentence that a judge must give, you undermine the confidence of Jamaicans in the justice system, and you undermine the integrity of the judiciary, the King's Counsel said in an interview. I believe that judges are trained to take into account all the circumstances of an offence and all the circumstances of the individuals who have committed offences and to arrive at an appropriate punishment. I don't believe the Prime Minister has that experience or training. Nita Robertson said greater focus should be placed on social programs that she believes would decrease the country's crime rate. Private sector groups urged the opposition to support SOE extension. 15 private sector groups are urging the parliamentary opposition to support extension of the states of emergency, SOEs, until January 14. The Senate will meet to consider the matter on Friday, following approval of the resolution in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. However, it will require an affirmative vote by at least one opposition senator for the extension to be approved. Opposition leader Mark Golding has stated that his side still has major concerns about extending the SOEs. However, the broad-based private sector grouping is suggesting the opposition support the extension with the condition that the government addresses outstanding key issues critical in achieving full opposition support. The groups argue that the data demonstrates that SOEs can help to save lives. Since the declaration of the SOEs on November 15, we have seen murders decline significantly nationally, and in the parishes where the SOEs were declared 9 days ago, it says, nationally. The data shows 63 murders been recorded the weeks before the declaration of the SOEs. Data shows that 12 murders were recorded in the first week of the declaration of SOEs. This is a significant decline, they continue. The groups further note that since Wednesday, within the parishes and specific zones where SOEs were declared, murders have recorded a dip from 21 for the period November 7 to 14 to 6 from November 15 to 22. The groups say they agree with the opposition that SOEs should not be a routine measure in normal times, but argue that the trend in recent months suggests that additional measures are now needed to disrupt criminal networks and reduce violent crimes and murder. Jamaica is bleeding, and we're at a point of great frustration as citizens. We expect our Prime Minister to lead this process and engage the opposition with humility and inclusiveness. We are hopeful that the opposition will reciprocate, they say. The groups have also urged the government to work with the opposition to quickly bring the Enhanced Security Measures Act to Parliament. The groups supporting the appeal are the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, MSME Alliance, Small Business Association of Jamaica, the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Negril Chamber of Commerce, the Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce, the Maypen Chamber of Commerce, Jamaica Employees Federation, Jamaica Union of Travelers Association JUTA, Duns River Craft Traders Market Association, Ocho Craft Council, and Jamaica Craft Traders and Producers Association. In sports news, all Clarendon DaCosta Cup final. Our Clarendon College unit, running at less than all cylinders, held its nerve to advance to the final of the DaCosta Cup football competition with a 5-4 penalty shootout win over the Manning School after a 1-1 regulation time result in the first of two semi-finals at the Stead Sports Complex in Santa Cruz yesterday. CC started the shootout in bizarre fashion after captain Malachi Douglas's kick came back off the right post. Manning centered their first 3 penalties with confidence, especially the third kick where Shamar Hamilton calmly rolled the ball past the goalkeeper. By now, CC had also netted 3 when the skillful but short-tempered Devonte Rodney stepped up for Mannings and put a very poor penalty down the middle into the grasp of the goalkeeper. This lifted the CC spirits, and they went on to score their next 4 spots. Then it was young Kajay Williams' turn for Mannings, but his bravery was rewarded with disappointment after his kick was saved by CC's goalkeeper Shamar Kamak. CC played a lackluster first half by their standards that saw them trailing from the 15th minute, courtesy of Manning's top scorer Jamalik Porter. The boys from Chapelton would, however, respond 7 minutes into the second half when Kaheem Dixon found the back of the net. Though CC enjoyed the better of the chances, even hitting the frame, there was to be no go-ahead goal when referee Odette Hamilton signaled the end of regulation time. Coming off an exciting end-to-end Champions Cup game last Saturday, Lenworth teacher Hyde admitted that his boys were a bit tired, but was proud that they held their nerves. They were a bit leggy today because most of them have been playing for Chapelton Maroons. I thought we played well, creating some chances but didn't put them away. However, I must lift my hat to them, Hyde said. The legs went and the brain went, because the decision-making was not up to our standard. We created chances and didn't finish. We had to find a way to win, and it came down to the goalkeeper. The excitement and nostalgia of what the football came down to, he added. Manning's coach Everton Tomlinson employed a tactic that worked for him at the same stage last season, substituting the starting goalkeeper Shawnee Campbell for Shamar Blair, but lightning didn't strike the same place twice. I think experience got the better of us in the penalty shootout. I was hoping, when they started badly, their nerves would fail, but they held firm, and in the end, the nerves came our way, Tomlinson said. We are four of the players that kicked penalties last year, and they all scored. When it came down to that pressure, penalty on the young 13-year-old, anything could happen, he added. It will be an all-Clarendon final after Central High defeated Manchester 5-4 in penalties after a 1-1 stalemate in regulation time. Earlier, Dylan Clark gave Central the lead against the run of play in the 24th minute. With 7 minutes to go in the first half, Manchester could have equalized, but Yari Carnegie saw his penalty saved by goalkeeper Leon Ricketts. Manchester were all business at the start of the second half, waiting just 10 minutes for Nicoy Bartley to pull the game level again from the penalty spot. However, the much-vaunted central defence would keep Manchester at bay for the remainder of the match. JBNN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.